Yo, yo. What's crack-a-lackin'? How we doing? Back with another watch list. Mister, what's going on? Good avoid there on XHLD this morning from our chat. Breakouts already have a pretty low win rate as it is. Like 50-50 basically. And when they gap up above their breakout level, it goes down to like 20-something, 30%. So the win rate is no good. Tina, what's up? So, as far as watch lists go, Luke, TNXP, yeah, nice little gapper today. Breakout through 20-ish, gap and go off the open. Nice ripper. These quantum names are proving to be choppy like they were in the past. QBTS, steady lows. Qubit, steady highs. So no confluence there across the sector, so definitely some relative weakness there in QBTS. CRVO had a first red day today. Wasn't a ton of bounces. So you get that red plunge. And let me turn that down. So anything there in like 1350, call it, and then risking highs, you're risking like $1.50. So a 1-to-1 trade is a pull to 12. So it just didn't feel like the risk reward was there, given how fast it failed off the open. Every other day, those pulls just steady grind all the way back, so it wasn't something I wanted to chase. But now that we do have a red close, likely have a gap down on the following day, I think there was some merit to an overnight short, but nothing I wanted to take. XHLD we touched on, gap and fail. IBO I traded a couple times, didn't really amount to much either way. We had 1-2 days of run. Basically what I didn't want was that big gap down, and we got that opening at $4 off of a $5 close. So I used this little 4 area when it failed and retested to lean off the open, and I covered it right away. Was just unsure and impatient, and then we got hard crack, lower high, little rounding action, so leaned on it versus bounce high risk and got stopped. Ended up going a bit lower later, but squeezing everybody out. It didn't cover into that 3 pull. So my goal on that was a 310 cover. So I likely would have been out of the position anyways. But just with the gap down, it kind of shoots the risk reward in the foot. So a bit tough. VVPR, wild move, midday, had some news, gapped up. I think it was some sort of like cash buyout news, midday, halted, news pending, and then opened 2 p.m. and never really looked back, but news driven. You could have been quick and just kind of buy it. I saw some guys buying it. But I'm not really a breaking news type trader, so now that we have a catalyst in the mix, kind of a fresh daily chart, let it do its thing, and pick up the pieces later. We had MLGO, the hot runner today, going from $3 to 15. Put out a press release back here saying that it had some dilution at 80 cents, which caused a pullback. And then today we're gapping up. So anybody who was short, and so any sellers panicked out, any shorts got in there, then with the gap up and it holding completely, the way that it ran today skews the chart a little bit. But now we're consolidating over the entire prior day's range. So as if this continues to hold, shorts are definitely in a bind. So what you got there was a pop into the open, sideways, market opens, volume stays consistent, and this thing goes nuts. No dips, nothing, just steady highs all day. So I'm not typically just chasing these names. I'm looking for daily chart, big picture structure. So I start looking for some sympathies. And what happened back here in December was MLGO had WIMI sympathy and HOLO sympathy. And with HOLO being fresh in traders' minds from yesterday, I bought this after hours pullback in the low ones. So ideally get a gap. And if we get a gapper, I'd like to scale through that 120s breakout. But given that this one's run with it in the past, MLGO's name is Micro Algo and Holo's name is Micro Cloud. So similar name to the ticker. This one does have some overhead resistance, but given that MLGO just ran to like 17 and after hours, and Holo only being at 1, and WIMI being sub 1, people could view that as being a deal, a discount. And if they're looking for another name to run to 17, then they could start picking these up as sympathies. So I like the power and then weak close. So typically favorable for a gap up. Not to mention shakes out longs here, stopped all prior support and then reclaimed fairly easily into close. So now all dips into this one area are of interest for me until trend fails. MLGO still holding up pretty well. I think it's probably gapping down by this point. Yeah, just a little bit. So we'll see where that one opens. I don't necessarily think the sympathies need this one to gap up. I think people would be buying them looking for the same thing to happen and roll their money from this name into the next, would be my thesis on those sympathy plays. Let's see here, what else we got? Some recent runners. SGLY had that 150 break. Held pretty decent yesterday with some squeeze out there into close, some halts, and then sideways for the rest of the day. So possible liquidity trap setting up if it starts to build over 150s and then get that 180 break. I would look to join that breakout. NAK, so far so good from the plan from yesterday. This one was running on some Trump stuff. Let me see here. Get it word for word. Issued executive order to speed up mineral production. So with this, that's why a bunch of gold and silver names, copper, ore, all that kind of stuff, all those minerals. So this one being a mining name, that's why this one's been getting bought. Do I think a $1 name is going to be the one that gets pushed higher and gets funding and everything? No. I think it's going to be a lot larger companies, some real companies that get the big moves. So this one is more of just a higher the better. If I get a gap up on this, like a big gap up, something like 30% or something like that, I would look for an overextended gap up on it. Maybe something like a 150, 160 gap. But otherwise, I would need this one to continue to push out. If it breaks below these 1-teens, could get like a pullback to $1, but it wouldn't be really worth a trade for a 10-cent pull. So ideally, this one keeps extending. IMTE was the leading gapper today, off the open, sideways midday, and big squeeze there into close. No history on the daily. This was the first big volume day. So a pattern for me would be a sideways low volume day. Let's let volume completely dry up. Maybe hold over under these mid ones, and then come in on Wednesday and look for a T+1 or a breakout style trade. GLTO. This one's getting picked up by the same group that's ran CRVO, RGC, DWTX, all those names. And this one got picked up there on Friday. And then today, holding its gains right up near its highs. Given how well they have ran, and they've been multi-day runners, DWTX going for 4 or 5 days, CRVO going for a couple weeks, and then RGC having its red day today, but went on a nice couple week run as well. So people having that in mind, do I think it's going to run for a couple weeks? No, but if this starts to build above this 7 key over here, if this starts to break and build over 7, I like that for a liquidity trap, and then still having the pump mailers pushing this thing higher with some retail crowd. And then soon, another possible breakout here setting up. No volume overhead, as you can see as we zoom in. We've got volume starting to churn down here. I don't know the fundamentals behind this name, but just watching it chart-wise, it's up 20% today, so just barely hit scans. Last time it broke out here through the 50s, had a nice run up to the 70s before closing week. So it might have needed some time to digest, but given that it hasn't proven multi-day runs, so if this starts to break and build here over these low 60s, 62, 65 range, then I think these 74, 75 breakout is in the cards. But it's just starting to hold and consolidate pretty well, getting tighter as it goes. So it's either going to fail sub 40 or break over 60, and then I can put a trade on. So much that I can't stand it. It's funny. Nate's comments on top. Is that thing moving today? I think he was comparing it from what I saw. Let me see. Trying to find his top reference, but I'm not entirely sure what exactly you're referring to. I don't see. I remember seeing top earlier today. I remember seeing his mention, but oh, there it is. You can also see how the weeks prior were laying a trap similar to top. Yeah, so he's comparing MLGO to top. Excuse me. Back over here. Went from 4 to 20, and then gap up went 260. So he's not, what he said is, I'm not saying it's going to go to 200, but he's saying that they laid a similar trap to it. Look at the volumes trade on this thing. This thing's a breakout through 1170s. It's holding it in after hours. I get why Trump hates China. He must be a short seller. China's fantastic. It's beautiful. Yeah, so as far as names on watch tomorrow, CRVO, I think quietly, I think the trend's dead now. This is exactly how DWTX ended. You get that red day, closes below its open, closes red. So that's kind of what CRVO looks like here. Prior key level there in the 1010s I have drawn, so prior breakout there. But if pops towards 11 continue to fail, I think this could round trip. There's no real reason for it to be up. It was just shorts tripping over each other, covering higher. So it should end back where it came from. So I think quietly on pops, not a ton of volume trading on it, so not really a sizable trade, but still something to keep on watch. IBO hasn't gone away. If this breaks below 3, I think you get a nice flush out of it. If this continues to hold 3, I think could have a secondary leg, so we'll keep that one on watch. Holo and WIMI, possible sympathies to MLGO. We'll keep those on watch. SGLY, see if this wants to build over 150s, possible liquidity trap. All ideas needing to see levels break and prove. Nothing I'm just buying and predicting what's going to happen. NAK, nice multi-day runner. Ideally, get another day or two out of it. But if I get a big enough 30% plus gap or something, I would look to attack that gap up. But otherwise, hopefully it just continues running higher. IMTE, no immediate plan tomorrow, but possible liquidity trap down the road. GLTO, pumpers running this one. Did have earnings back here. So if it starts getting moving, and people don't have access to these pump rooms, it could continue moving higher, and they could associate that with the earnings. So I will keep this one on watch for a breakout through 7, and then soon for a breakout through the 60-65 range, and then big picture through 75. I think that one could set up as well. So that's my watch list for tomorrow. Got it in nice and early, so anyone who missed it will have plenty of time this evening to catch up. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see some of you in Investors Underground tomorrow. I believe they're doing a live broadcast streaming to YouTube and Twitter in the morning. So keep a lookout for that on the Investors Underground channel. And for the rest of you, I will see you on the next watch list. Peace.